Stephanie. All right, thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Indiana Arts Commission Homecoming. My name is Anna Ross, and I'm the co-chair of the Homecoming Steering Committee. I am pleased to welcome you to this session, which is Crossing the Generational Divide, Building Bridges Through Art. And today's session will be led by Stephanie Robertson and crew, and friends, I should say. Before I turn it over to Stephanie, I'm just going to go over a few things, and Chapin, if you can put up the slide, that would be helpful. Please remain muted during the presentation until the Q&A so we can give our full attention to today's presenters. Feel free to utilize the chat function to introduce yourself and ask questions throughout the session. If you would like to rename yourself in Zoom, you can do so by hovering over your image and clicking the three dots and selecting rename. Captioning is also available during the session and throughout the conference. You can turn those on by clicking the closed caption button in the bottom navigation bar. If you have any questions or tech issues throughout the session, please feel free to send Chapin a note and a direct message in the chat. And with that, I'm turning it over to Stephanie to get started.
Okay, hi everyone. So the first thing I have to say is that I'm the program chair for fine arts at Ivy Tech, and Zoom and I have a love-hate relationship. So I'm just telling you, I have some things to share and some things to do, but I may end up saying, now, where is it doing the old lady thing? So I'm just telling you, this is who I am. This is me. We were listening to a playlist that I had asked our participants to give me some songs that talk to who they are as artists. And that I will put the link to that in the chat in a bit. So those of you who don't know me, I'm the program chair for fine arts at Ivy Tech Community College and in Indianapolis. And what we do is we teach classes for all ages. The youngest students that we've had in our classes have been 16, and the oldest one we had was 89 when she graduated from with our degree. And so we really feel as instructors that it's very important to have that. It's not important, it's that it's rich and succulent and just juicy to have all of these ages working together, from young people to those of us who are not young and everywhere in between. So that's me. That's all I got. Now I'm going to let Mary Jo introduce herself. You got to unmute.
There we go. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Jo Bayless, and I teach 3D design. I've taught drawing 1 and 2, and I'm teaching a materials class as well that's focused on wool. And one of the things that I think is really super important about Ivy Tech is the fact that it's inclusive. It's like, it doesn't matter about the ability you have when you come into the classroom. What we know is that we can gain something from everyone who's participating. And it doesn't matter the age level, it doesn't matter the experience level, it doesn't matter about your background. What matters is your desire to learn. And with that thought in mind, we came up with some questions, but I guess we should be introducing. Stephanie, did you want to introduce participants?
Yeah, I'll pull up the names. So Jordan, would you mind introducing yourself and just say what you're doing now, how you came to Ivy Tech, and then we'll go into questions later, and then I'm going to popcorn down the line.
Yeah, I could do that. So I'm Jordan, he, they pronouns. I am a current student at Heron School of Art and Design, and I'm in the process of graduating next semester.
Yay.
With a major in drawing and illustration and a minor in art history. So currently I've been working on a lot of paintings and illustrations, just nature stuff, but also woodwork. as well. And I joined in on Ivy Tech right after high school with a lot of persuasion from Stephanie and a few other people. So, yeah.
Jordan, how did you come to us though?
Oh,
Did you come to us through high school or was it something else?
it was through Arts for Learning that really kicked it off. So, yeah.
Groovy. Okay, Alan, are you there and available to speak?
Yes, I am here. Although I'm a senior, I'm. Oh, okay, great. Okay, great. I'm there now. We had this adorable cat picture up, and I couldn't figure out how to get it off. Yes, I'm here. I came late in life, obviously, after I'd retired. Although I had an interest, I've gone to art museums since I was a kid because you go to a city and that was something important to do. And I'd taken a smattering of art history courses, but I'd never really had an opportunity to participate in studio work. So it was a chance to try that. And I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Natasha, how about you?
Hi, I'm Natasha. I came out of Ivy Tech right out of high school. It was just a school where my dad had gone a long time ago, and he knew they had a really good art program at the time. So did a little research, and they still have a really good art program. So I came. I started when I was 15, and then I graduated I moved on when I was 17, which was about 2020. I'm currently at School of the Art Institute of Chicago, and it's like an interdisciplinary program, but I'm mostly in the photo department. I'm actually at my school right now, so if you hear a lot of background noises, I'm sorry. Yeah, my work focuses on like pastoral work with like a little bit of a human twist and highlighting what we've done to nature.
Great. Becca, surprise. Becca Trainer is a former student of ours as well.
Nice. Hi. Well, I came to Ivy Tech not right out of high school. I had a few semesters at Purdue and elementary ed and also speech therapy. I thought I wanted to go that route and then realized that I really wanted to go into art, but I wasn't sure if I really wanted like the traditional education type background. So as Stephanie knows, it's a long time coming. Finally graduated from you guys last December, I think. Yeah, we're all working. And since then, it's been pretty crazy. My like 9 to 5 is I actually work at a elementary, actually a middle school right now, as a instructional assistant for special education, but I'm going to be transitioning into like an ABA therapy soon. So that's another education thing that is interesting. But on top of that, I also started this summer at the Indianapolis Art Center, teaching summer camps. And then now I'm teaching like their make it take it's, as well as I'm going to start like a Saturday class for pre-K, as well as some family classes. And then I'm also working at the Monon Community Center, and I'm in their inclusion department there. So mostly adults, but children as well with disabilities. And I just finished my first session of adaptive art there. So I'm really excited about that.
Making me cry, I love it. Eve, would you mind coming in and just explaining who you are?
Certainly. Sorry for the lack of imagery. I'm a relatively new adjunct professor at Ivy Tech downtown, Indianapolis, and I teach life and object drawing. So I'm sure everyone's familiar with that, but still life and figure drawing. It's been very transitional coming in during 2020 and learning how to not only grow as an educator, but also in a time of constant flexibility. So it's been a really wonderful challenge, and really grateful for that opportunity.
All right, and I do want to introduce one other person that I see who's here, who's not at Ivy Tech, but has an affiliation with us. And no, it's not you, Kate. It's Angela Yetter.
Hello, Angela, and I am with Arts for Learning, and we have a summer program in partnership with Ivy Tech for teens that are interested in pursuing the arts as either career or college pathways. Sorry.
Great. And I actually just saw that Isaiah is here, but I don't see that Isaiah has is able to connect his audio. Oh, Isaiah, can you please connect your audio?
I think that we're
Yeah, you're here. I hear you.
okay.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. I'm Isaiah. I'm an illustrator from Indianapolis, Indiana. I found out about the art department at Ivy Tech through like Arts for Learning when I was in high school. And then after high school, I attended Ivy Tech as an art student for a few years.
Thank you all. So as I explained to Natasha, and I'll explain to the rest of you, is Mary Jo's going to feed you questions, and I'm going to ask those of you who we've just introduced to kind of start sharing your thoughts, because we want this to be more conversational than a lecture. So Mary Jo, it's yours. I'm putting my mute on.
Okay, all right. Well, I want to thank everyone for being here, especially for the people who are former students who have so graciously volunteered to take their time and, you know, think about these questions that we send out ahead of time. And that's just give some really thoughtful responses to this. So the first question I wanted you guys to think about was, how is being around people of various ages and abilities broadened your understanding of what art can be? And whoever would like to start off with that, go for it.
I'll start it. It's Alan. I had misgivings initially because I am so much older, and I thought that students would look askance or even think, why is this person taking up space? You know, because I didn't have the same background. Many of them were already quite sophisticated in use of materials and ideas. And I think, you know, some instructors may have thought, well, okay. But everybody was so supportive and accepting. And I found everybody stimulating. I mean, even at times, certainly younger students, and even those who maybe whose work challenged me, it was interesting to try to understand how they were coming to this solution on a particular project.
Thank you, Alan. Is there anyone else? How about some of the people who came in as younger students?
I can go. I'm sorry. I was just waiting for some people to pass by. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I came in really young and I found it really helpful to be with some of the older people for several reasons. They showed that you don't have an established style throughout your life. You don't like come in and you find your style in school and then that's what you have the rest of your life, but also that you're always consistently learning no matter your age or where you came from. And yeah.
There's a buzzword around the education community called having a growth mindset. And the thing that's great about Ivy Tech is that I think the people who teach there have been doing like growth mindset work ever since they've been there. And it's understanding that nothing is fixed mentally, that everything is open to change. So thank you for that, Natasha.
If you all, so I know you all know how to talk because I've worked with you all. So if you want to just use your hand and raise your hand, if you want to answer those questions, that might help as well. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go. So working with like artists from the different ages, age groups, it was really mind-opening, but I also learned from them too. I came in right after high school, but I was always kind of unsure on where I stood, because yeah, I took some art classes and stuff like that, but I was still like trying to build up my confidence and like working with more materials than I had, before. So it was really amazing just working and seeing people's like art process, especially in the making. I learned from it and I pretty much kind of picked up from that and incorporated into my artwork. So yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jordan. See. Did anyone else have any thoughts on this question? If not, we can move on.
So working with like I guess people from like a variety of different like backgrounds and age ranges, it really like helped to reinforce that art is like, everyone has their own journey, that there isn't like a specific way that you need to go about it. Yeah, it just helped to show that art just isn't just one thing. Everyone like they take their different backgrounds and experiences, and that really shows through their artwork, which can be like super inspiring.
Yes, thank you, Isaiah. That's so true. Anyone else have a thought on that first question?
I can't speak as a participant, but I know within the classroom having participants and students of multiple backgrounds and age groups allows for support among the students, and various perspectives that someone maybe a little bit older hasn't heard of something or a new way of doing something, but someone a little bit younger maybe lacks the patience or the desire for research that someone a little bit older has a better skill for. So if people are willing to open themselves up to that kind of environment, it can be extremely beneficial, in my opinion.
I agree, Eve. And the thing that I've seen is that some of my older students have so much passion for being there because they maybe postpone these art classes in order to take care of responsibilities that they had to fulfill. And this is a dream of theirs, is to take an art class, and now they finally get to do it. It's really beautiful to see that. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Was there anyone else for the first question?
I'll add on real quick.
Yay!
I mean, I definitely agree with everyone, but also I think coming from like a traditional, I guess, college experience or something, you don't, I mean, Ivy Tech is very unique in that you get that experience and of working with people that are in all different areas in life and paths, whereas usually it's just your peers, same age, very similar experience. You kind of get to see that difference, but also kind of see into the future. I know, I mean, I learned a lot from you, Alan, of course, and classes I had with you, as well as Susan. And loved talking with you guys and also your different backgrounds and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, thank you, Becca. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on. I'm kind of like, I had these written down in order, but there's really not an order with this. So just really quickly, can anyone who wants to pop in here, can you describe the culture at the art department in 3 words? And Becca, I'd sent these out earlier, so some people had a chance to think about this. So if you can't right away, that's fine. If anyone else wants to jump in who'd seen these questions, feel free.
Energetic and spontaneous.
I think that's very, yes.
Fun, caring, and supportive.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you, Natasha.
You know, what I liked, especially in my circumstances, was that it wasn't, you know, some people had said, well, if you want to do something, you can take a workshop someplace. And I said, well, but this is set up to teach the fundamentals, the kind of foundation classes. And since I don't have background, I really enjoy the professional presentation and guidance, but I like it's from zero for me. So it's not like, oh, and I love doing this, and you know, so it was especially good for me. Kind of the flip side is that it all moves along pretty fast. So there were a number of times when I would finish a project and I would say, oh, and now I see what I should have done, or how I would do it if I had time to do it over again. Sometimes I'd go back and try to correct things from my new understanding, but often it was on to the next project. And
right.
Yeah. So
yeah. I think that one of the really eye-opening things for a lot of people, especially in like the 100 level classes, is that this is professional. This isn't, oh, I like art. You know, that's not what this is. It's getting people ready for a career. Yeah. And that's why it's so good to have people who are older come into the classroom, because you guys understand that, I think, more than some younger people who are used to having art kind of as an escape. You know, no, this is art as a profession, and there's a professional language that goes on with it. And then, you know, there's standards to the work and documenting the work and writing about the work and the work, right? So it's really awesome having someone with life experience coming in to kind of like help model that for some of the younger students.
Oh, well, I just didn't want to embarrass myself, you know, too much. So I tried to do what I thought was I was supposed to be doing. I would say, and this is, it was, you know, I'm freed at this point in my life of saying, of wondering, so where is this going, you know?
Yeah.
And will I get the appropriate recognition for my work? And no, it's just, this is a gift. So I don't have the same kind of angst. I remember coming into a class and I was, I take one class a semester for the most part. I did two this one particular semester, and I was having trouble keeping track of the projects and due dates. And I was complaining a little to a table mate, and I said, "Oh, I suppose you're taking more classes than this." Well, yes, and I have 4 classes, and oh, and you're also working part-time, and you have a shared living arrangement, and yeah, oh, okay, well, never mind
Yeah.
how just put upon I am, this is,
Right.
I'm just having fun, right? Yeah, okay, that's right, I'm growing.
It's important fun though. We're all growing.
May I ask a question, please? For those of us that aren't familiar with your program, could we just take a step back for a minute, for like 2 minutes, and explain? We understand that there's the cross-generational connection, but are they classes? Are they out in the community? At the college?
Sorry, thank you.
Quick, thank you.
So Ivy Tech Community College is, our program is an Associate of Fine Arts degree. So it's a transfer degree to other colleges. And we teach the foundation levels that would be taught for art classes at any art college. So it's beginning drawing, it's beginning painting, color design theory, 3D design theory. But we also have things like we have printmaking, book arts, painting, sculpture, and the students have to take 30 credit hours worth of classes to get the degree in the program, plus 30 credits of general studies. And then when we talk about Alan coming in, this is something that I was going to mention in a little bit, is that Alan came in as a senior scholar. So for Ivy Tech, anyone who's over 60 can attend college for no cost. As a senior scholar, they do have to pay for their books and their supplies, but the registration is not, they don't have to pay for that. And then we also do dual credit high school classes out in the community, but I have students who they are in a school here in Indianapolis that doesn't offer the dual credit with us. And so they can enroll in as a dual credit person, a dual credit. And then other students can also, anybody can join. We're open access. I should have explained all of this. So anybody can attend Ivy Tech Community College, which also makes it interesting because we have students who are from schools that have a rich art program and a lot of resources. And we have people who come in and they're later in their careers, and they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s. And they've decided they've been downsized, or they want to pursue what they've always wanted to pursue. And that's part of the juiciness of what we have in our program. Does that help?
That was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Did anyone else have 3 words for describing the art department from their experience?
I do.
Okay.
The glowing, wavy man. That's me. If you all know those waving people that they have that are those blow up dolls, that's how our whole department runs. It's like, woo, everything's going every which way. Blowing wavy man.
Yes. I think possibility is one word. Magic is another word. I know a lot of people don't like the word magic, but I do. There's something magical about the synergy that's involved. Synergy, there you go, magical synergy. I think that I have found that the relationship between students has been really, really a vital part of my experience at Ivy Tech, is how everyone interacts with each other. That's been awesome. And they pull me into it as well, and I appreciate that. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so if no one else has their 3 words, let's see. Okay, guys, how did your art practice change as a result of your time with people who are different than you? I love that question. That's my favorite question. I think it's important.
I kind of just became looser with my art style because I realized it's okay to mess up. It doesn't have to look Instagrammable all the time. Yeah, it's okay for mistakes to happen as long as you learn from those mistakes.
Exactly. That's being an artist is one of the only things where mistakes are good. As opposed to being a lawyer or a doctor. It's the only way
Don't
we
make mistakes in those fields.
Yeah, don't make mistakes.
So.
Yes, please, not in those professions, but as artists, that's the only way we grow. And that's actually how new art movements get started, by making mistakes. Thanks. Anyone else?
So I become more experimental in my art. You know, I worked with a lot. When I started Ivy Tech, I did a lot of like traditional mediums like pens, inks, paints.
Mhm.
And then I transitioned to digital art. But then over time, I started missing working traditionally. So then I converted back into doing paintings. And then I started experimenting with like wood burning and carving.
That's
So
awesome.
I've kind of grown from that, but also I became more looser.
Uh-huh.
I was so set on having like perfect borders and everything, but now I'm just like, let's go at it. Let's go crazy.
That's awesome. Was there anyone in particular who helped you through that process?
A lot of my professors from Ivy Tech had like really pushed me into doing that, but then also just people in general, they're like, yeah, just do, you know, it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, and
Was
I just accepted that.
Was there a particular classmate of yours that you learned from? Who did you learn from?
There was, I want to say, it's hard. There's like a lot of people, a lot of my classmates I've learned, you know, from Isaiah to Pam and Phil, Brooke, so much, you know. I like to look at their work and then just see their process. And then that helped me like, oh, it's okay, you know.
Yes, yes. Seeing their process, that's super important. I think that that's been one of the things that's been difficult the past year and a half or so, is being able to have access to people's process like you're talking about, because I think that's super important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So Isaiah, your name was mentioned, so I've got to pull you into this. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi. I know. Do you know Allie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had Allie in high school.
Oh, really?
Classes, yeah. So Isaiah, what's been your experience? Who have you learned from, and how have they helped change your artwork?
Oh gosh. I learned a lot during my time at Ivy Tech, honestly. Because like my school didn't really have an art program. So a lot of the stuff that I knew beforehand was like self-taught, you know. So like I
Wow.
had already had my own like, I guess, certain idea of art before I came to Ivy Tech.
Yeah.
And like I don't, my time there helped me become like a bit more polished in the way that I work.
Uh-huh. So you had your horizons broadened.
Yeah.
Now, how did that happen? Can you be specific about some experiences?
Well, like, okay, so it's really embarrassing, but like before I started working at Ivy Tech and all that, I was very notorious for like not planning my pieces. And so I would just like go with the first idea that I came with.
Uh-huh.
But like the professors really like pushed the idea of like thumbnailing and working out ideas, coming up with multiple ideas
Oh, yeah.
before you like get to the final piece.
Yeah.
And like now like the planning part is honestly my favorite part of the creative process.
Yes. Why?
Because like it's a lot of fun to like explore all these different avenues that like
It's where the freedom is, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's honestly so much, it's like a puzzle, honestly, like seeing all these pieces come together in to order to form like the final thing.
That's
Just
awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank
I'm
you
gonna-
for
I'm
that.
gonna
You know, as a
I'm gonna
teacher,
interject.
that's really good for me to hear this.
I'm going to interject in here, and I'm going to just ask Isaiah, how old were you when you first came to Ivy Tech? Art Force.
Oh, in Art Force.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. That was like so long ago. I think I was like just finishing freshman year of high school when I
Oh my God.
joined Art Force.
And I wanted to ask you, did you talk a lot?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's incredible growth that I've witnessed, and that Jingo was one of your instructors as well. And that Angela, I think Angela, you're aware of Isaiah from all those many years as well, right?
Yeah, I came into taking over Art Force. I think Isaiah had already been in the program a year or two.
Yeah. And so
He was a man of mystery.
He still is. We can't see him.
okay, so Angela, would you kind of touch on why the high school, what the Art Force art program did for and does for some of these students? And Mary Jo, you can also do that too, because you taught the program.
In 2 weeks, our hope is that we show some teenagers some new techniques. We introduce them to the idea of art as a possible career or college pathway. So they actually get to sit in on a class or two, one of the summer running courses at Ivy Tech. They get to sit in on one of those classes with real live students of all ages. They usually have to collaborate on one big piece or more than one piece. They help plan an exhibition. So in 2 weeks, they do a lot. We try to give them some new experiences. And so then when they're not working on the big collaborative piece, they can go back and explore one of those techniques they saw early on. But yeah, it's really to show them that the arts can be a hobby. It can be something to keep you sane, but it can be a career, and there are options. A professional artist isn't just somebody that paints pictures that hang on the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. For instance, this summer, the group that we had for Art Force did some pieces for the Kennedy King Initiative Center, and the focus was around social justice. So not only did the kids have a client, it was also a client with a really specific need, right? And they had to do specific art pieces by a set time. So they got to see what it was like to actually have a client do something that would work well for that client and then get it done and get it installed. So that's what we did this summer.
That's really helpful to hear that, of how you're moving out into the community also. So, are there ways to talk about some of those murals or shared workshops that the faculty, staff, and the seniors that are participating in the classes, that how do you get those community connections? How do you get out there and make those murals happen or make those community connections?
I'm going to bring in Community Hospital North. We had one of our instructors actually was tutoring a high school art student, maybe somebody in 8th grade, drawing classes, and they needed some artwork. And so we got actually hired to create two large pieces at Community North. One is in the walkway between the between the heart hospital and the regular hospital. And that's like 10,000 feet long. And then after that, we did something for the cancer center and the walkway connector. And I believe several of these students were involved in that project as well. Do any of you want to talk about what you got from that and what kinds of things did you figure out from doing that, and how did that help you as a career? And Alan, I think you were involved in some of that. I know that Becca, you were involved, weren't you?
I was not. I wish I was, but I was not.
Isaiah and Jordan, were you involved in that? It all runs together.
Oh yeah, I was. I remember that we had like some of the canvases in one of the classrooms and we were like projecting the image onto it and I had to like pencil it and all that. So like that was really fun.
Yeah. So we gave them real world experiences. For the people here, you can't see those murals or those paintings unless you are traveling between those two buildings, because they're designed to get people easily back and forth. And hopefully none of this ever happens to you. We always look for community. Well, hopefully you don't have to visit those hospitals. But if you do, those are from Ivy Tech Community College. And we do other collaborative projects all the time. We're actually working on one right now for Spirit and Place Festival that runs here in Indianapolis in November. And the theme is change for Spirit and Place. And we're working on a project called The Hole in Our Hearts. And it's the whole over-encompassing theme is how do the arts affect artists and mental health and also our communities. And so we're working on collaborative projects with our students and going back out into the community to do projects as well.
Great, that's really helpful. And so as the students are creating the artwork, do they also get the opportunity to learn how to make those connections with the partner organizations, to learn how, once they launch their own career, how to make their own connections out in the community?
It depends. It's harder. It was harder with Community Hospital because it was like they came to us in August and we had to revamp our whole thing to get it done by the end of December. And so we had to create it. The second round, we did a lot of planning with people. So the Cancer Center one, we had the Cancer Center come and talk to students. And we also did some brainstorming sessions with them. And then afterwards, there were events and things. We very much feel that being out in community is important. So right now with the Spirit and Place Festival, and we do these every year, everybody's involved we've got people involved on all levels of creating workshops that will be at the event, creating artwork that will be displayed, creating projects and leading, monitoring projects and facilitating projects as well. And then next year, the conversation is about identity. And we've been leading it from the top down. This time we're going to be leading it from the ground up and having our students lead those ideas of what it is that we want to do, because we're all about identity and we like it to happen.
That's
So-
fantastic. So it's multi-generational, all planning from the bottom up then next year.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
And I mean, for the materials classes, my materials class is part of the Spirit and Place Festival. And we invited an outside poet in, and we're working across campus as well. So it's like between my materials class and the honors English class, creating something called a concrete poem that'll be at the Spirit and Place Festival. The other thing that's happening at Ivy Tech is that there's a professionalism component. Stephanie, what is the name of that department that actually help people find jobs?
Yeah, they keep changing the
Remember
name.
that?
Yeah, they keep changing the names. It's the career coaching and employer connection,
Yes.
or
So-
career services.
Right. So I think that the career services people are also involved with the arts classes to help people know how to write a good resume. We have people write artist statements and take good slides of their work and really encourage them to participate in shows and other things like that. And by giving them experiences in the community, that helps broaden people's understanding of what art can be.
So we've got a 15-minute warning.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. Oh, wait, I want to do this the right way. Okay, this is how fancy I am. Wait a minute. That's not it. Okay, here we go. Okay, go. Ooh. So if anybody is interested or knows a student who wants to attend our high school art camp, the information is on this slide, and I'll put it into the playlist or into the chat in a minute. So some of you are not close to Indianapolis, but Bloomington does have an art program, and all Ivy Tech campuses have a senior scholars program. So, you know, if you want to go ahead and take welding, or if you want to take creative writing, anybody can be a senior scholar. And I've got the links right here, and I'll put those in the chat. And then again, there's our dual credit at Ivy Tech. And those are for high school students. High school students can get college classes for free so that they can start ahead of the game when they come to Ivy Tech. And then I'm going to put all of these. You can follow all of us on Instagram. I now put those in the chat as well. I gave you those. So I think it's time for us to if people have questions. Anybody have questions? Nobody.
I'm not seeing any in the chat right now. So if
Okay.
people want to, if you want to just go ahead with some more.
Okay. Mary Jo, you got other questions?
I think you're muted, Mary Jo.
We're so
Thank you. Thank you, Jordan. Let's see. I guess all of the questions kind of tie into each other, and people were conversational about this. The final question was, what valuable life lesson? This isn't necessarily an art question, but it's like, as a life lesson, what have you learned from someone who you thought was really different than you? Go for it, Natasha. I'm sorry. I think I called Natasha Jordan before. Sorry.
You did. It was all
My
good.
bad. Sorry.
Kind of just the first thing to pop up or to pop into my head would be obviously to be organized, to be really organized.
Mm.
I was lucky. I had enough money. I didn't have to work in school while I was here at Ivy Tech. But I know a lot of my others, a lot of the other students had to work, and they had to be really organized. And I know with 4 classes, I felt overwhelmed, but I wasn't working, and I know they felt way more overwhelmed.
Right. That's a good one. How about you, Becca? Was there anything in particular?
definitely learned a lot. I don't know if there's one in particular. I mean, I did work while I was at Ivy Tech for a long time. That's why it took so long, a lot of that. But it's managing my time for sure. Learning from others that did the same thing. Still have trouble with that though. Probably always will. And also, I don't know, just kind of, I guess everyone said kind of like learning that it's okay to make mistakes, and also that everyone kind of has their own style. I know my style is a lot of times more like process based, and learning that it's okay to do that and not like be working towards a finished product. So that would be my main lessons.
That's awesome. I think that's really important to know that who you are as an artist is that's up to you to determine and no one else. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Was there anyone else?
Yeah, I grew quite fond of students that I worked with. I don't mean I don't mean inappropriately so, but I appreciated their support, and I enjoyed watching their growth, and because I might see them here and then in another class or out in the hallway, and I would, without prying too much, you got some idea of what they were dealing with, and they all had interesting stories, and I always sort of wanted to know, so what's happening next, and we would, because I took forever, am taking forever, I would, they would go on, and you'd say to yourself, well, it's like a lot of things, the time that you spend is the time that you spend. And so that's the gift there. And I also, I see instances in other areas and in my life where sometimes you need pretty tight control, and sometimes you need to be loose, and finding the balance on each project can be tricky, whether it's whether it's a work of art or raising a child or supervising other people. It's making pie crust. It's you have to have a light but firm touch, and so that's. I also could see that I'm pretty linear and pretty conventional in my approach, and so that it helped me to understand some things. Yeah.
That's all important, and that's all necessary. So thank you for being who you are in our classes.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's really helpful. We do have a couple things in the chat, if that's okay. I have from Mary, thanks for the program sharing about the Senior Scholar Program. She really appreciated that information. And then Sarah asked, she loves hearing the student feedback, which has been great, but do the instructors have anything they want to share about what they've learned while they're teaching in this multi-generational environment?
Eve, do you want to go first?
Certainly. I find that students are always finding new ways to not only teach themselves, but teach each other. Especially with a multi-generational environment, I find at the beginning of the class, there's often a lot of hesitation to cross that line because maybe younger students feel that an older student would judge their work or only see it through the lens of maybe a more traditionalistic approach, Or alternately, younger students might be afraid also just because they might be worried they're too new, like they don't know what they're doing, and maybe what they show, will be judged very quickly. But then oppositely, a lot of older students have the same fears to show younger students because, oh, well, they know all these new technologies, they have this influx of constant exposure, they can gain information very quickly, and also have a tendency to have a shorter attention span, but also a faster ability to reach the answer just because of that exposure to life in a different sense. But once that barrier gets broken, I always seem to find these really unique relationships, professional relationships, of how can we drive each other with these different ways of knowing and understanding. And for me, was learning that, even though I might be closer to an age of a lot of the younger students that I'm teaching, that I'm still coming from a lot of it from a more traditionalistic approach, or more of an approach of someone, the older students that I've had actually come from almost the same view. And that, I also need to be a lot more flexible in my understanding. And in order to be constantly bridging that gap, it is my duty as an educator to be digging and trying to understand what's happening now, but also try to understand pasts that maybe are not as represented, and how can I bring that into the classroom. And so it's a constant, it's a constant forms of learning that I think are different for each person. And when we can all be willing to let that go, which usually happens about mid-semester, then suddenly the learning starts ramping up because people are more ready to share. They're more open to these new ideas. They're also a bit more open to accepting that they might be wrong about something, and that that's okay, and that they'll be better off if they share that with the people around them and then grow from it, as opposed to staying quiet and then kind of continuously making the same mistake, maybe because you never actually opened up about something.
Thank you. That was helpful.
Yeah. Thank you, Eve.
Welcome.
We've got about three minutes left. So
See my hands? Three.
Great. I guess what I wanted to say is that I am older and my students are younger and younger every year. And the thing to me that's interesting is that I was born on one side of technology and these students were born on the other side of technology. So what I have to offer them is an understanding of hand skills that they maybe don't have yet, and that it's harder for them to have because people are kind of moving away from hand skills a bit. So for me, what teaching younger people is doing is helping me understand what I have to offer is super important.
And I will close. I'm the closer. So I would say that for me, like, one of the most important things is that I always learn from them all. I'm continually learning. And that I think that the hand skills are just as important as the technology. And we are moving towards more technology in our class, but I will always be one to say, let's learn it this way so that we can enhance what we're doing. And the last thing I'm going to say is that I personally love doing Spotify playlists with my kids because I always find new music that I did not know about and that I fall in love with. And I always thought I hated hip hop and rap, and I really don't like opera or heavy metal, but it's about the music for me. So thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Anna, for keeping us on track, and also Chapin for keeping us on track. And you all have a good something.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie.